Welcome to the Power of Oxygen First, where we scale your life first so your business can actually breathe. I'm your host, Dot Rock. Oxygen First means you protect your energy first. You build your life first. You take care of your nervous system first. Then you scale. Because success without oxygen, that's just burnout with better branding. Around here, we talk about real leadership, how to hire your peanut butter instead of just doing it all yourself, how to fire with grace when something's expired, no more breadcrumbs, how to grow or go, and how to receive support without apologizing for it. This isn't hustle culture. It's sustainable success. It's leadership with oxygen. So let's pause and take a deep breath. Let's build something that actually feels like home. Well, hello, my Pod Squad friends. So, today, before we dive into this conversation, I just have to tell you a little bit about my guest. I'm really excited to have her on the show. Her name is Becca Kyle, and we go way back to when she was Becca Heatwall, all the way to growing up together in the hill country of Texas. I grew up in San Marcos, Texas. So when I say we go way back, we go way, way back. I actually don't have a childhood memory without her being the older sister because she was one of those people as a kid that I thought was the coolest human alive, the most beautiful woman I thought I had ever met. She always seemed like she was a woman to me. She was older than me, confident, smart, athletic, just really self assured, and one of those people that seemed to understand the world in a deeper way, even back then. Her brother, her little brother, was one of my dear friends growing up. And if I'm honest, probably my first ever crush. And so our families crossed paths a lot over the years. Our moms were friends. What I would have never predicted from back then is that decades later, Becca would become someone who would quite literally help to save my life. When my health collapsed a couple of years ago and my liver suddenly failed, she was one of the people who helped connect all of these dots that traditional medicine just wasn't figuring out. And she pointed me towards mold toxicity and toward a path towards healing. Today, Becca still lives in the hill country of Texas, and she's a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioner. And she helps women navigate the chaos of midlife health, hormones, and specifically perimenopause with both clarity and compassion and hands on experience from her own journey through perimenopause. I just took her perimenopause course with a group of like minded women, and it was just a lovely deep dive into all the things that can affect our bodies at this age in our 40s. So, honestly, I cannot think of a better person to guide women through perimenopause than someone who has had this incredible ability to see patterns that other people miss all of her life. So I am just really excited to introduce my longtime Texas friend, Becca Kyle. Becca, welcome to the show. Well, hello. Hi, Becca.
Hi,
It's good to have you on the podcast.
good to be here. I'm excited.
Okay, so listeners, what you don't know is that Becca and I grew up together and in San Marcos, Texas. Her younger brother is same age as me, and our moms were good friends. We went to church together. I think you guys were like always in the row of folding
Cheers.
chairs. We had folding chairs. If any of you could like visualize this space that we went to church, it was like a gymnasium essentially. It was not very fancy.
It was
And
not.
I think you guys were always right behind us because my memories of you as a child are turning around and seeing you and always thinking, Becca's so pretty. I hope
So,
someday to be as pretty as Becca.
well, all of your dreams came true because I think you forced it past me. I always wanted to be a redhead. I think
Oh,
it's my childhood obsession with Anne of Green Gables. So anytime I see a redhead, I'm just like, "Hi." I get a pang of jealousy, and
Oh,
it's my favorite coloring combo is the redheads. So,
well,
we
thank
was
you.
we're back and forth with it.
Well, it's just so interesting to like think where we were, where we grew up, and where we've ended up. We're both
Yes.
entrepreneurs now.
Hmm.
You still live in Texas, yes?
I do.
And have you ever left Texas? Have you stayed in the same like
You
Central
know,
Texas area?
I just did a little circuit. I did San Marcos to Austin to now I live between Dripping Springs and Bee Cave. So I'm just doing the Hill Country Triangle,
Oh,
I couldn't escape, but we talked about it for a long time. Colorado was on our list, but then I realized I despise being cold for long periods of time. And, I need a summer house in Colorado is really what it is.
or visit here.
Or visit you, yeah. But no, we
Yeah.
didn't. We love to travel outside of the state, but no, we settled, kind of just in the hill country. But we were ready to get out of Austin because it was too big city for this country girl. So
Yes, yes. Well, it is still one of my favorite places on earth, Central Texas, especially the Hill Country area. And anytime I go back, I'm still like, oh, this is where my heart is. This is
yeah,
home. We left right before my freshman year. It's so funny because one of my biggest memories is your mom came over every morning and for full days for like a week helping us pack. And she was just that sweet, soft presence. Our moms are very similar, I think,
yeah.
in the ways in which they are gentle in the world,
She is, but she's gonna show up in a fierce way for you. Like, what do you
but
need?
be
She's
fierce.
gonna be there, but she's gentle, right?
Mhm. Mhm. Yes,
The fierce
yes, for sure.
gentleness.
Yes, for sure. And here we are, boy moms as well.
Yes,
You have how many?
I have three boys, and it's interesting because right now I have three boys in three different complete age group schools. So I have a high schooler, a middle schooler, and an elementary schooler. So it's like living like three timelines at one time. Like I'm like, my oldest is, working on getting his driver's license, and my youngest still has silly sock day at school, right? So it's a bit interesting keeping up with all of it, but I love being a boy mom. I was made to be a boy mom. Like, I think I have the sense of humor of about a 5.5-year-old boy, so it works out really well.
I love it. I love it. And what is so interesting to me about you saying you have three boys is you were one of three.
Hmm.
Did you always want three? Was
I
it like you
feel
wanted what
like
you grew up with, or?
I think part of it is honestly, I have a love of odd numbers. And one just I knew I wanted more than one, but
Mhm,
two didn't feel settled. It felt weird. Like
mhm,
it was too
mhm.
even. It was too perfect. It was too like, I don't know. It felt like no. Mm-mm. And then I ended up having some fertility issues. So I'd given up having a third. I was like,
Mhm.
well, it's just not meant to be. I have two amazing, beautiful boys. I sold off, gave away all of my baby stuff. And it was like a January, and I really took some time to make peace with it. And then, that same year, I got pregnant with my youngest. So that's how life works, right? So,
That is
yeah,
how life works.
yeah. But he's the perfect caboose to our family. So,
That's so cool. Okay, so we have kind of stayed connected through the years, but we reconnected, I think probably just through Facebook.
hmm,
You were on a health journey, I was on a health journey, and your career path kind of shifted to what you do now. Can you talk a
yeah,
little bit about what you do now? And then we'll talk
yeah.
about that little bit of a reconnection and how you saved my life.
Oh, goodness. Wow.
You did. You did.
So I think most of us who end up, or many of us, let's just say that, in the wellness world, get there because of our own health journey.
Hmm.
We spend years or decades, or for me, it was a lifetime of being a medical mystery, and then finally finding the thing that gave us the answers, the thing that helped us. And for me, that was not traditional medicine; it was functional health, holistic wellness, whatever you want to call it. And I fell in love with it because that's what ended up solving my fertility issues, was really focusing on my genetics, which I know you're
Hmm.
very into the
Hmm.
genetics story. And I fell in love with the idea of this whole world of functional health. And my undergrad's in public relations. I have a master's in elementary education. I was a teacher, right? I had my own photography business. One time I sewed handbags and they were on sale at a little boutique on South Congress. That was a business I had, right? So serial entrepreneur, and just fell in love with the fact that I got answers finally for a lot of things I've been dealing with. And there was this whole new world opened up and I was like, oh, there's other ways to do this where you get real answers and you can make real changes and you can completely shift your perspective on wellness, but also how you take charge of your wellness. And I didn't have at the time a history with the health world other than just dealing with my own medical mystery situation.
Mhm.
And that's when I found functional diagnostic nutrition. And I was like, oh, there's a program out there for someone like me who is obsessed with this, whose life it's saved, and that it teaches you, how to utilize functional lab work. So think, gut health and hormones and toxins and pathogens and nutrients and minerals and all the things to really view the body as the connected whole that it is. Traditional medicine says, oh, you have a heart issue, let's treat your heart. Oh, you have a toe issue, let's treat your toe. Oh, you have whatever. And they don't tend to look at how everything's connected, but there's no one symptom or one organ failure or one whatever on an island by itself, right? And
Right.
so I got trained in that philosophy and in the clinical how to utilize functional lab work, the data, how to correlate it to someone's health history and their symptom presentation. And our focus as a functional diagnostic nutrition practitioners is not, we don't diagnose a medical condition, we don't treat a medical condition. I want to raise up function in every cell, tissue, and organ in the body. We raise up function as a whole. Okay, we get rid of the roadblocks. Toxins are roadblocks, pathogens are roadblocks, not digesting and absorbing your nutrients are roadblocks, stress is a roadblock. We get rid of the roadblocks and then your car has smooth sailing, right? And so it's just a really fun methodology that works and that people are really, really hungry for. They're sick and tired of not getting answers, being gaslit, being told, just stop drinking energy drinks and your heart problems will go away, right? Like that's what my cardiologist told me. I'm like, I haven't had an energy drink in 2 decades, but cool. Thanks for the tip. It's a way to truly help people, not only help them, but empower them to take control over their own wellness.
I love that.
And now we're here, and now I work with
And now
people
we're
all over
here.
the country, and it's super fun.
Yeah, for sure. And, I think some of my health journey really actually started with some of the genetic testing and understanding. I mean, it started before that when I did a full elimination diet
Yeah.
because my child, when he was born, seemed to be allergic to my breast milk,
Yeah.
right? But what I knew is the mom groups told me to basically go on a full elimination diet
Yeah.
and then slowly add food back and see what he reacted to. And I started watching that. And then I started watching what my body did as I was able to add things back, right? And I also struggled with infertility. I had PCOS
Mhm.
for all of my 20s, was told I would never be able to have children, never understood why I didn't get a period. Like I got my first period around 16, and then it really came and went maybe once a year-ish. They said it was because I was thin and athletic,
Mm.
right? And it continued till they realized I had PCOS, right? And now you and I can piece together some of that.
Yeah.
But when I fully cut out gluten and peanuts, actually, my favorite breakfast back before I had my son was a piece of peanut butter toast and on gluten bread,
Mm. I know.
like nice gluten bread, Ezekiel bread.
Oh
Not
yeah,
like it
the good
wasn't,
stuff. Right.
it was the good stuff. And it was not like crappy peanut butter. It was organic, freshly ground peanut
Yeah.
butter and a protein shake, right? Like that's not a bad breakfast,
No.
but it didn't work for my body, right? And so that's where my health journey with that stuff started. And then at some point I did the genetic test that you ended up talking a lot about.
Yeah.
And that's how we found some of our similarities. right? Do you still offer those tests and what are they?
So the initial genetic test that I used, that company ended up closing its doors because they closed really, it was last year and supply chain. They were just a really small kind
Mhm.
of mom and pop kind of company. Brilliant clinicians running it, but they found that it was a no-go for the business model. She still uses genetics in her clinical business, but no longer runs the
Mhm.
company. So I had to pivot and make a switch. I found another test that I love. It's from Fagron, and it's great. And so I still absolutely utilize genetics. I think it's one of the most important puzzle pieces for people. I mean, I have
Mhm.
a male client who mostly work with women, but a lot of times the women are like, "Hey, can my husband, can you help? Can you work on this
Mhm.
guy?" And he ran 6 labs with me, and I mean, it was just toxins and pathogens, and I mean, inflammatory everything. And then his genetics test was one of the last ones we got back, and I was like, "Oh, here we are." I mean, talk about predisposition. His blueprint, he was set up for inflammation. And so we
Mhm.
had to have the conversation of you cannot just be willy-nilly with your lifestyle. Like you
Mhm.
have to be very proactive in, reducing toxin exposure and, supporting the gut and dealing with stress because your body is a kind of bomb ready to go off genetically. I like to say that genes are the blueprint, but you get to be the architect, right? And so,
Correct.
um, there was, what is the frame of thought from years ago? Well, my grandpa died of heart disease, so I'm going to die of heart disease too, right? Like we just have these genes and there's nothing you can do about it, which is not
Mhm.
true. Well, you can't change your genes, but you
Correct.
can
Correct.
change how they express in the body and really support and honor your genetic blueprint. So going gluten free was likely honoring your genetic blueprint, right? Like there's the idea of one size fits all anything in health is just wrong because we're all
Mhm.
genetically,
Mhm.
right? What does your body
Mhm.
actually need? That's what we
Mhm.
have to, that's what we have to, that's the question we have to answer for everybody. What does your body actually need?
Right. And for me, I had a lot of allergies as a child. I had a lot of asthma as a child. I remember when they like wrote the hundred numbers on my back and did the
Mhm.
pinprick test to test for allergies, and I was allergic to gluten, dairy, soy,
Yep.
peanuts, chocolate. And I remember my mom just struggling with that because I mean, the world was definitely not set up to be
No,
gluten and dairy free back then, let
no.
alone when I was gluten and dairy free when my son was born, right?
Yeah.
Which was 13 years ago. So it's really come a long way
Oh, yeah.
to be able to do that. But I did do a lot of that through my
Mhm.
childhood, but it wasn't the only answer.
I find that the food sensitivities are downstream from other issues. They're there because of other problems,
Right.
right? And so they can shift symptom presentation really quickly, but is that the final answer? Was it your final answer?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No, definitely not. And so, what I think is interesting is I think a lot of the issues I had as a child actually related to mold.
Hmm.
Growing up in
Oh,
the
yeah.
hill country,
Uh-huh.
I remember actually mold growing on our walls in my
Yeah.
house, right? Like humidity there. We were really poor. It wasn't that our house was not clean, but like mold grows really well there. I always
Yeah.
joke with people who don't know the difference between living in Colorado and living in Texas.
Yeah.
And in Texas, the soft bake cookies, soft batch cookies,
Hmm.
Nabisco or whatever they are, when you open those up in Texas, they're soft.
Yeah.
When
They're
you open,
squishy.
no, when you open those up in Colorado, they are not.
Oh,
They're
I did
not
not know
soft
this.
batch. They're crunchy. They're not as crunchy as like
The
regular
crunchy.
cookie,
Right.
the crunchy, the normal, like, but
Yeah.
yeah, they're not soft here.
Yeah, the humidity here is off the charts. Like my hair and skin loves the humidity.
Mhm.
My every time
Mhm.
I go to Colorado, my skin like cries. But yeah,
Mhm.
like the mold here, I mean, it's Texas is one of the worst states for it
Mhm.
because of
It
the
is.
heat and the humidity and proximity. There's so much water, between the ocean and the lakes and the rivers and all the
Mhm.
places, right? And then we have so many floods. We're just a
Mhm.
flood prone state. And then I think so much of it too is especially back then, like nobody thought it was a big deal, or they didn't realize like how mold could impact somebody's health, right? They're like,
Right.
it's a mildew. It's just paint over it, right? Like no big
Mhm.
deal, right? So you connect the dots between a lot of your own health issues and that mold on the walls?
Absolutely. Like, I think, you know, I was treated for asthma so much until we moved to Colorado, and it got a lot better in Colorado. And I still had asthma symptoms. And then I had a reflare. So I moved there in my freshman year. Had to use an inhaler for exercise and whatnot, or when I would get sick. When I would get sick, it'd go straight to my lungs. By my junior year, we had, or actually, end of my sophomore year, we purchased a new home and we pulled up all the carpets and I helped. And I think there was all kinds of fungus and mold, and it reflared me really, really badly.
Yeah,
That being said, I also think stress in my home, in my family of origin, right? Like, created a lot of stress within my body as well.
yeah.
When I went off to college is when my asthma really started getting significantly better.
Mm.
And then once I went fully gluten free, which, you know, Ezekiel bread, not super high on the gluten scales, but right, by the time I was fully gluten free, I have not had one asthma reaction except when I had exposure to eggplant, which I'm anaphylactic to.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
that'll do it. So
right, like that'll
yeah,
make your lungs kind of burn and
just
hurt. But
a little bit, yeah.
I didn't need it. So I would love to talk a little bit about the mold journey.
Yeah.
You and I discovered the mold
Yeah.
because in COVID, so what I'm trying to say is there's all these factors that add up, right? Like
Hmm.
the family dynamic, the stress
Hmm.
that was in
Yeah.
my body, the stress from the toxins.
Hmm.
My genetics said, you know, really gluten's not the best for you. That being
Right.
said, I can totally have gluten overseas and I'm fine,
Yeah.
but there's not a high pesticide load there, right?
Yeah.
And so add that to I'm in a relationship that created a lot of stress on my body again, even though
Yeah.
I wasn't recognizing it as stress. And the home that we were living in together was full of mold, full
Yeah.
of mold. And I knew something was wrong, and I knew something that house was impacting me. And I started having autoimmune issues, pretty severe. Was diagnosed with Sjogren's, had an ANA, positive ANA off the charts. They thought I had lupus. And then next thing you know, and they put me on hydroxychloroquine to control the Sjogren's. Next thing you know, I'm really not feeling good. I'm having stabbing pains in my head, but I'm still going to the gym every day. I'm still going on long walks every day. I'm still doing all the things that take really good care of my body because I'm good at that. I'm
Yeah.
good at being good to my body through diet, exercise, sleep, water. I know my genetics are not necessarily in my favor
Yeah.
to self detox, right?
Mhm.
So I had been doing all the things, all the things. And all of a sudden, I'm like, you know what? I need to go to the doctor. I go to the doctor. We do blood work, and my liver's in complete failure.
Yeah. Can you
Right.
imagine how you would have felt though had you not been doing those things? Had you
Correct. I
not,
mean, that's
like,
the thing. Like, I've had several doctors be like, look, honestly, if you didn't go to the gym every day, we wouldn't trust that your joint pain was that bad. And I was
yeah,
like, yeah, but my joint pain was worse if I didn't go to the gym. Like, I
yeah,
knew the pain would be double
yeah,
if I didn't go to the gym. Yes. Right. So, could you only imagine how bad it could have got? But I went for a walk, and for some reason, a little bird flew down and was like, Becca, tell Becca. And I did. I don't remember if we
I
walked
just
or
got full body chills.
yeah.
Yeah, fun.
And so I said something to you and you said, Dot, I mean, and at the time they said it's the medication, it's the
Yeah,
hydroxychloroquine. It's and it was in part
yeah,
along with everything else, right? My body was under so much stress, there was no way. With all that mold in my body, there was no way. So you said, Dot, I hear you, but I actually think it's mold.
yeah. I mean, your clinical presentation, so, full disclosure, I'm super ADHD, which makes actually it'd be a superpower for me for this job because I can just have a conversation, hear symptoms, and like my brain goes, "Chugga, chugga, 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 chugga." And like I can spot mold from 5 miles away. And so I've yet to actually tell someone, hey, I think you've got mold, and we test and not be correct. And so the way you described what was going on, I was like, oh. And I think what at first you were like you weren't super
Well, the
like,
interesting part was you said it, and that day I went to the gym and I told my trainer what you had said,
you know,
right? And then I left, and then about an hour later he texted and he said, I just want you to know right after you left, a man came in and wanted to test the building for mold. And he goes, and I'm just telling you this because it's weird because your lady said mold. And then my husband at the time, who's no longer a husband, he said, "Hey, my best friend called and he said, "Hey, I know Dot's liver's failing and it's scary, but have you considered that it might be black mold?" So it's three people
yeah,
within less than 24 hours
that's a
that were
pattern.
like, it's like it was as if the angels were sending
Yeah,
messages like, "Hey, really check this out."
yeah,
That being said, like we stopped the hydroxychloroquine, we stopped all supplements. I started having IVs daily, you know, and my numbers started getting better.
yes,
But why did my liver shut down like that? And also, I had also had a COVID vaccine. My body was overloaded. And so
absolutely.
went down the path of mold detox and it changed my life.
Yeah.
Changed my life. And I have never felt better than since I did that. And it was a good year-long
Oh,
process.
it's
It,
not a short and sweet thing typically.
absolutely not. It was a lot of work and it was a lot of emotional work. And I ended up getting divorced about a year after I finished it. Just like
Yeah.
all the boundaries I learned to set around my body and my needs and
Yeah.
what was happening with my nervous system response. And it changed my life. So you
Yeah.
saved me. The work
Oh.
that you did saved me.
Well,
And now,
it's there's something actually called like mold rage, There's families that are living in mold that implode because the mold will can hijack your entire body. So it doesn't surprise me that your body was shutting down.
right, it just shut down. And now I'm still like not perfect health-wise. I still have struggles that most
Yeah.
people don't have, right? I have genetic predisposition for breast tumors. I have a lot of things that I still work on.
Yeah.
But it has changed my approach to health
Hmm.
to know that there's more answers for me in this functional medicine world
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
looking at the numbers and the minerals and all the things. And so, because of that, I recently joined your perimenopause group
Yeah.
because I am 44. I think my only perimenopause symptom really in the last 2 years had been, I mean, that I'm aware of, was I, maybe wanted to strangle my 12 and 13-year-old a little more often
Yeah, well,
than I had, and also had a DoorDash incident where I started absolutely screaming at the person for not delivering my food, stealing my food, right?
it's like
But
it's a,
generally speaking, I wouldn't have lost my mind on them.
right. Well, and that can be one of the first symptoms is out of control emotions where you're like, what was that? Like, I don't, that's not me. That's not who I like. Well, I don't understand where this is coming from. And it's like, it's kind of like it's such a disconnect of like, well, how did those words just come out of my mouth? Or why do I really feel like I'm going to explode right now? Like my rage is that intense.
And I was definitely hangry. I was
Yes,
hungry, I was tired, it was late at night. I've always struggled with hunger.
right.
Like I get real hungry. But usually I can be like, okay, I want my food. And that's enough. But it was like I want my food. You like and then it was like watching myself outside my body
Yeah.
to where I was like absolutely screaming on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's a red flag, because even at your hangriest, you probably weren't like that most of the times.
It's
And
not like the rabbit hole got deeper and deeper and deeper.
yeah, and some women are like you, and it's almost like well, I just have this one symptom. Can I really be in perimenopause, or somebody may be 38 and they're being told, well, you're too young to be in perimenopause, right? Like that one makes me bonkers. Like you can start having the hormone depletions and imbalances at like 35, right? So when women are, or I've had clients be like, they're 42, they're 43. No, no, you're too young. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is
Okay, wait, let's push pause.
yeah.
Perimenopause.
Hmm.
I was just asked by a man my age
Oh, okay.
who cares quite a bit.
Yeah.
He said, but wait, what is perimenopause? And all of a sudden, I realized I didn't know what perimenopause was a couple of years ago. And I don't really think any of us did. This is
Mm.
a new thing we're talking about.
I think that it's always
More,
been there. I think it's getting named more.
it's
It's
getting
getting
named.
discussed more. I think it's people are conversing about it. For our mother's generation, it was like more of like, oh, I'm having the hot flashes. Here comes menopause.
Yeah,
It was
but
that
that's
kind of
pretty
thing.
deep once we're
Yes.
hitting hot flashes, right?
Yeah, yeah. And so what I think happened though is so many women in their late 30s and early to mid 40s are busy. They're busy, they're overwhelmed, they're doing too many things for too many people, and they are disconnected from their bodies. And that this is not a new thing. And so then what happens is they're not paying attention to symptoms that start really lightly, a gentle symptom. It's whispering, right? And they don't notice the perimenopause symptoms until they're like raging out at the DoorDash guy, or they're like
Mhm.
all of a sudden sweating through their sleep, or they can't sleep, or all of a sudden they've gained 50 pounds and they're like, what the heck did that just come from? Or, any number of symptoms, but because it can be a gentle onset or a slow onset, but we're so just go, 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 go that we're not paying attention. And so it seems like it comes out of the blue when
Mhm.
often it's kind of been building and simmering. And then you add the
And building and
norm.
simmering because our hormone levels are changing in our
Yeah,
bodies. We
absolutely.
are not in full menopause where we're
No.
not having periods, right?
So
Like this
yeah,
gentleman asked me, what is perimenopause? And I thought, oh my God, all of us women are now talking about this, especially the ones that are like, let's say between the ages of 35 and 45.
yeah.
But the men are like not sure what the hell we're all talking about,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it's the period anywhere from, really and truly, 10, the average is 10 to 12 years before when your hormones start declining or shifting, and then your periods actually fully stop. So the definition of menopause is 12 months after your last period. That's when you
12 months.
officially, you're a fit. Now, if at 11 months and 15 days you get another period, your
Mhm.
12 months starts over, which is kind of sad for some people. But that's the official definition. Menopause equals 12 months after your last period. Okay. So in between the beginning of symptoms and hormone decline and hormone shifting, and then 12 months after the last period can be a long time. And so typically it's like progesterone drops the first, typically, then estrogen does this wild roller coaster. Testosterone kind of does its own thing. But most women recognize something's wrong because initially when progesterone drops and estrogen's fluctuating and estrogen goes sky high, then there's really estrogen dominant. And that causes a lot of the initial, like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with me symptoms. Right. And then periods can go shorter, they can go longer. They just like, I was had a 28-day cycle and now I'm at 45 days or I'm at 21 days, right? Everything starts to kind of move around.
Even on hormone replacement.
So
Does
you're
it move
talking
around
about,
as much? Like I still have a 28-day cycle.
yeah.
I started bioidentical hormone replacement therapy in October, like mid-October of 2025. And so here we are, mid-March, when we're
Mhm.
recording this. And I still have a 28-day cycle.
Yeah.
And I'm only on a low dose progesterone.
And even if you are on HRT, that doesn't mean you're going to keep cycling till you're 70. Like it's
Mhm.
not going to, it's replacing what your body is no longer making. But with your body no longer making it, it's not like it's not going to pause time, if that makes
Mhm.
sense. Time will still
Mhm.
continue. Your body will still, your ovaries will stop producing hormones. You're taking it, you're
Mhm.
replacing it. I mean, the only way, like, so I call it the 50-50 split. So
Mhm.
I'm a big proponent of HRT. I think it's the ultimate longevity hack, bioidentical hormone replacement therapy, that is. But it's half the equation. If you're crazy stressed and depleted and toxic and all the things, those hormones you're taking aren't going to do what you want them to do in the way you want them to. So we have to address the body from both perspectives, from the HRT side and the lifestyle side. And when you do that, then the transition can be much better and much easier and much smoother. That being said, eventually your period will stop, even if you're on HRT. Yeah. But also
None of us want that
I
forever.
have clients who are 50 still fully cycling,
Mhm.
right? Like we do test their hormones and we're like, you're still golden, right? Like so the idea that there's this like perfect timing of perimenopause is wrong. Like
Right.
women can go through it. So like, I had a hysterectomy at 39, which sent me into, a little bit of an earlier than I would have gone into perimenopause, right? But my progesterone tanked, but I didn't start really estrogen for another like 15 months later as my
Mhm.
estrogen tanked. And then it was almost a full year after that that my testosterone tanked, right? So it wasn't all at one time.
Right.
And so it can be confusing because you might say, well, my friend is like this, or my mom was like this. And we cannot compare where we're at with anybody else because everyone kind of has their own timeline and their own journey
Mhm.
with it. And so it can be so confusing because we don't always look the same as far
Right.
as timing and when it's going and then what symptoms you have. Like I don't really have hot flashes. The only time I really had
Mhm.
hot flashes was after I birthed Daniel, and that was postpartum, right? And so for me, it was insomnia and rage and being weepy. Like I'm just not a crier, and I would be like,
Mhm.
like crying for no reason. Weight gain, like out of the blue, I was like, what is going on here?
Mhm.
And just feeling like really inflamed. Like perimenopause just
Mhm.
kind of smacked me upside the head. And really, I think one of the biggest ways to say, hey, am I in perimenopause is all the health hacks that used to work really, really well for you don't
Mhm.
really work so well anymore. And you have
Mhm.
to, and you're like, why isn't this working? This is the way I've always lost weight, or this is the way I've always recouped
Mhm.
energy, or this is the way I've
Mhm.
always balanced my mood. And you're like, none of my old methodology is working
Right.
anymore.
I
And it
mean,
can be frustrating.
I certainly see that in myself. I mean, one of the things that I think was the most valuable so far in my perimenopause journey was one of my practitioners. I've been doing the Dutch test, hormone
Hmm.
test.
Yep.
I've been testing my labs, and my hormones looked really good.
Yeah.
But this is prior to starting progesterone. In fact, I was told I had like the hormone labs of a early 30-year-old,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And that being said, I was having some of these rage moments, right? Not a lot of them, but
Yeah.
some. And I also was going through an extremely stressful divorce,
Yeah.
long process. My son was in the hospital for 4 different times in that year. He missed 20 weeks of the 6th grade, right?
Mm.
Like there was a lot of stress, and I was
Yeah.
about to move across the state. That being said, something wasn't right. So I had one practitioner say, just because your labs are good does not mean we override the symptoms. And so my
Yeah.
other symptom, besides this little bit of rage, was about 3 to 4 days before my period, sometimes just two, I absolutely could not sleep. I
Mhm.
was like freaking wide awake,
Yep.
buzzy, feeling like nervous system issues,
Hmm.
completely buzzing out. And I did not know what that was. And so, like, about 4 months into that, she was like, remember, I told you, I think it's your progesterone.
Yeah.
I think this is your hormones. And I'm like, well, my labs look great. And she's like, no, we have to treat based on symptoms. And your symptom is that
Yeah.
your progesterone is off. And now here I am. I've got a little bit of estrogen dominance. Does it look terrible in my labs? You've seen my labs.
I wouldn't call it the worst I've ever seen by any means, but it's there.
It's there. So
Yes.
now we got to like adjust based on that. But
Yeah.
traditionally speaking, My labs look somewhat okay.
I would say
Pretty good.
they do. But also think about this, like in times of high stress, your body is using those hormonal resources more. I mean, I need a lot of estrogen. I soak it up like a sponge in times of stress. So I could be taking the same amount of oral of HRT or using the same amount of HRT. And like last fall, when we lost my mother-in-law, Noah had a very severe injury. Like it was a very, very stressful time. And my estrogen level tanked. And I didn't change how much estrogen I was utilizing, but my body resources, like it just got used up.
Mhm.
So it can be a thing of one, your estrogen during perimenopause does a roller coaster. It's gonna like, so it's really can be difficult to pinpoint. I like to say, hey, do some blood work once a week for a month and see, does it stay high? Does it stay low? Like what's
Mhm.
going on? Does it shift? But also under stress, you have to think about how much resources your body is using at the time.
Mhm.
So I was talking to my HRT prescriber and I was like, I have this idea. Because right now my estrogen's too high. We just because I track it all the time. Like I want to know that what I'm
Do you
utilizing,
go
right?
get lab draws all the
Yeah, I
time?
just do blood draws. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my estrogen now is too high, but it tanked. It tanked right after Thanksgiving. And it took a long time for it to come back up because it was such a stressful time.
Mhm.
But I had this idea. I said, you know what? I want to track my estrogen levels, how much HRT I'm taking, and what level of stress I have.
Mhm.
Because when I'm stressed out, when I'm dealing with life stress, especially life stress that's out of my control, my body just uses it up and my levels tank, right? I mean, I
Mhm.
had to get
Mhm.
on the patch plus Vagi tabs. Like I was having to do multiple types of estrogen just to get it up because my body was under so much stress. And so I think it's just an interesting idea. Like when we're thinking about perimenopause, it also can be a stressful time. Like
Mhm.
you're in perimenopause while you got teenagers. That's stressful time. Or
Right.
you finally built this
Or they're
amazing
rage
business.
baiting
Yeah.
us.
Oh, they are so rage baiting. Or maybe like you finally built this amazing business and it is like kicking butt, but it's a lot of work, right? Or whatever it is,
Mhm.
40s-ish can be a time of doing a lot of things, being under stress, having a lot of life things happen at the and then it's here's to me the perimenopause pinnacle. I just coined that. You can trademark it later. It's perimenopause with teenagers and aging parents.
Oh, yes.
Like what like
Or
talk
add
about
a divorce in
stress.
there.
Yeah, add a
Yeah.
divorce. I mean, it's no wonder, right? We can't just look at perimenopause on an island by itself. It's not in a box, right? Your sex hormones are directly related to your stress hormones. So that's why like when someone says, "Hey, my testosterone's low." I'm like, "Well, did you check your DHEA?" And they're like, "Why? What's that?" I'm like, "Well, your DHEA is made in your adrenal. That's the counterbalance to cortisol, and it's the parent hormone for your estrogen and your testosterone. So if you are 38 and your testosterone is low, is it actually low or is your stress creating low DHEA? And
Mhm.
then your DHEA, you don't have the foundational building block to make your testosterone,
Now, do
right?
men test DHEA?
They should. They should. And the interesting thing is too is just like your sex hormones have a decline in age, it's age-related decline, it's just how it works. DHEA has an age-related decline too. So
Fascinating.
oftentimes we women get in this perimenopause situation. Not only do we have the hormone craziness, the sex hormone craziness, but we have high cortisol and tanked DHEA. So talk about lack of resilience, lack of energy. I mean,
Mhm.
my that's what happened last summer. I had sky high cortisol from a parasite I picked up in Minnesota. Thanks, Minnesota. It was a beautiful trip though. And my DHEA had tanked, and I was like, I can't sleep, and I'm exhausted, and all the things. And of course, I checked it just via blood. Oh, no, at that time I did a hormone zoomer, which is very similar to the Dutch test, and got on some DHEA. And like 4 days later, I was like, somebody plugged my batteries back in, right? So we have to look at that. And then DHEA is the parent hormone for estrogen and testosterone, right?
Mhm.
So you might be low testosterone and high estrogen. Well, if your body's inflamed, if you got the toxins and the pathogens and all the things, and you're undermethylating, well, your body's going to do a process called aromatization where it's going to take that DHEA and it's going to be like, no, we're going to go build some estrogen dominance and we're not going to go over here to testosterone. So then you could have low testosterone and high estrogen, right? Due to inflammation, right? So there's, the perimenopause is not, it's not something that happens in a lab, right? It's kind of the idea of like weight loss,
Mhm.
calories in, calories out. Nobody lives in a lab, right? I don't love the idea of thermodynamics because life's not controlled that way. Same thing with hormones and perimenopause. Like you have to look at patterns. You have to look at associations and connections to from your stress hormones to your sex hormones. And if you're not, like, I can't tell you how many women I talk to, and they're like, no, my doctor never even checked cortisol. I'm like, okay, well, under stress, your body will prioritize cortisol production over progesterone production. Under stress, DHEA
My
can
body does.
tank, right? Like, so it's like
Mhm.
you have to test your estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone along with DHEA and cortisol. Because if you're not, you're not getting the full picture. You're not
Right.
seeing like how one could equal the other, right?
Right. Well, my latest hormone journey, and I haven't even shared this with you, is I have the Aura ring, and it's pure. It pairs with the Mira fertility
Ooh,
tracker,
okay.
and so I'm like peeing on a stick every day and having that just test all
Nice.
my levels.
Nice.
And I'm still going in for my lab work,
Okay.
not weekly by any means, really every about 3 months.
Yeah,
We'll probably check it a little more as we're making some changes here with the progesterone levels or the hormone replacement therapy that I'm taking. But I'm doing what I can.
yeah,
And number one is always stress management because,
absolutely.
I always say we have to scale our lives before we scale our businesses, before anything else. But
I
health
agree.
is scaling our lives. Number one for me is health.
Yeah. Well, it has
And-
to be. And I think that's why so many women are forced into finally asking for
Mhm.
help in midlife because their body shut down and their body say, no, thanks. I cannot operate at this level anymore. You cannot do everything, right? You
Cannot.
have to get help. And so that's why so many women finally are like, okay, I'll do the housekeeper. Okay, I'll get some help with meals. Okay, I'll hire the mother's helper to help me with laundry because I can't, my body is forcing me. But if more women would get some support and get help before their body shut down, like the perimenopause wouldn't be such a smack in the face, right? Like
Right.
we have to, I love the idea of scaling your life and even before you scale your business because, you know, if you don't have I don't have to fold my laundry. Someone else can fold my laundry, right? I have to create protocols for my clients, right? I don't have to cut up the broccoli that's for dinner. Somebody else can cut up the broccoli, right? So I always think about it like, what's my time worth? What am I spending my time doing? I hate chores. I don't want to do it anyway. Like if it's not fun, I literally don't want to do it. I'm a
You don't
child.
want to do it.
No. And so paying, I have a 16-year-old homeschool girl who comes in, she's amazing for 5 hours a week. And she helps me with the things I don't want to do in the first place that cause that like resistance in my body. And it's amazing. It's amazing.
But like first you took care of your health. You surrounded yourself with support in the
Yep,
health area,
I
and you
did.
continue to surround yourself with support. And you have like a little advantage versus the rest of us because you're in that
Yes.
world, right?
Sure.
And maybe a disadvantage too. Our advantages are our
It can be
disadvantages.
hard. It can be hard to see the forest for the trees sometimes. Yeah.
I could only imagine. But then you scaled your life and everything else flourishes. That's
Yeah,
that's the concept that I call putting on your oxygen mask first.
absolutely.
I am so grateful for all the ways you've helped me with my health and putting on that oxygen mask first. I do want to talk a little bit more about how people could work with you
Oh,
to do similar work, and especially women in perimenopause or near, how they could get some support from you.
yeah. Well, midlife women are my passion project. I'm in it with you, right? There's a sisterhood out there, I think. And when I say I get it, I get it. I've been there. I've been on the non-functioning side of perimenopause and I'm on the other side, right? I had to kind of figure it out, right? And create a new methodology and a new perspective on things. And I've kind of come up with a secret sauce. And so if you are a midlife woman who's struggling, there's several different ways that you can get support. So I have a really beautiful group program that you just did. It's an 8-week cohort. We're really looking at metabolic function and diving into the action steps that actually move the needle for your symptoms and your health. So many women are like, I'm trying this and I'm trying that, I'm trying, and you're just hemorrhaging time. What if you knew like the 4 things to do that could just shift things dramatically, right? In 8 weeks. We look at an HTMA lab, which is a metabolic function lab, looking at stress response, energy production, weight, all of these things a lot of midlife women are struggling with. And again, it's what is your body asking for? Well, we can put a number on it. You want to know what your metabolism is? We can put a number on it. We want to know what your stress response is? We can put a number on it, right?
Mhm.
And it's really also a lovely thing to have community, to know you're not in it yourself. So this is a wonderful 8-week cohort. I'm doing them about every 8 weeks with a couple weeks off in between. So my next one launches March 25th, and then I'll do another one, after that one. So we just cycle through them all year. And then I have a really, really life-changing 8-month one-to-one program. And that is for someone who is just ready. We're ready. We work together very closely for 8 months, 6 labs, which is super fun deep dive for my nerdy heart, and just high level. I walk side by side with you every step of the way support. These are the women. These are typically my entrepreneurs or high
Mhm.
functioning business women who are like, Becca, just tell me
Mhm.
what to do. I don't even care why. Just tell me what to do. I just want to know what to
Right.
do so I can
Right.
go do it, because
So
they're
because we
super
will
high
check the
functioning in the
boxes.
rest of their lives, right? They're like,
Yeah.
I'm so good at this. I'm so good at this. I am sucking at this right now. So
Mhm.
just tell me what to do. And I'm a 4.0 student, right? Like just
Yes.
get me where I need to go. And you can fast track really quickly that way. And then I'm really close to launching my membership, which is a monthly membership,
Yay.
which is like, think about it like Cliff's Notes. It's going to be micro topics. A lot of midlife women are tired and exhausted, and their attention span is about this big because they're doing all these other things for their families,
Mhm.
or their businesses. And so it's like a 5-minute video coupled with written content. Because I know I'm a reader. I don't want to watch a video. I'd rather read it because I read pretty quickly and I can synthesize. But some people are like all about the videos, right? So each little micro topic will have some written content and a video. It's like, what is this topic? Why does it matter? What can you do about it? Go, right? So everything from like, sleep to insulin resistance to what are the 3 types of estrogen to how do I balance my mood? There can be literally thousands of micro topics that I'm building this library of right now. And so I'm super excited about that because I want this type of transformation to be accessible to anyone and everyone. And so whether you need the deep dive, 8-month, 6 lab, like transformation program, or you're more of like a DIY gal, or you want the 8-week community, there's a little bit of something for everyone.
I
And
love that.
you can change your life with any of them. It just depends on your personality, type of support you want, type of community
Mhm.
you want. So,
And how bad it got before you reached out for help,
yeah.
right?
Yeah. And how fast
I
do you want to
my
go? How fast
Yeah,
do you
I
want to
mean, my
go?
hope for everyone in business is that they hire admin support the day they start their business. I
Yeah.
don't think any of us have business getting in the weeds of everything in our lives.
Yeah.
Period. End of story, right? And I feel the same about health. Like, just hire help. Do not do it alone.
Yeah.
We are meant to be a tribe and figure it out together, right?
Absolutely.
And I think it can be life changing when we put our health first. So I'm
It's,
so
there's the thing,
grateful
if
you
you
helped
don't
me.
have your health, you don't have much, right? Like, I mean,
No,
it's the foundation for living a beautiful, vibrant, engaging life. And to me, this is my mission, is really and truly foundationally, my mission is to make the world a better place. And to me, that is improving the health of women.
mhm,
And allowing women to be able to have the energy, capacity, resiliency, balanced stress response to live their authentic selves and to put themselves out there and change their communities, change their families, change the world. And it starts with feeling amazing, comfortable, and confident in your body. And I fully believe, down to like the depths of my soul, that midlife can and should be a season of empowerment, of
yes.
joy, of expansion, and dare I say it, of a new level of sexiness even, right? Like, and
Yeah.
so many things are hijacking that process. It's like
Hmm.
the dreaded perimenopause, it's looked at as this season of horror, right? But it should be and it can be a season of like beautiful expansion in your life of like, you know what, I'm here and I'm taking the world by storm and I'm doing what I want. And I mean, I call it my Jeep body. I want a Jeep body. I want the souped up Jeep body with the big tires and the tow bar and all those ducks on the windshield. That's going to take me anywhere I want to go, right? That's the foundation I want to build for people.
Absolutely. I love that. I love the Jeep body. I love me
Especially
a
all the
Jeep too.
ducks.
It's so funny. When I go pick up my son from school every day, there is a jacked up Jeep right in front of me. It's got purple door handles
Nice.
and it's got all the ducks in the
Yeah,
front, like
I
like
love
a
it.
lot of ducks.
I love
So
the
I'm gonna
ducks.
start calling that the
Yeah,
Becca Jeep.
it's my that's my body. I felt like a beat up Ford Pinto for a long time. I think a lot of women do in the junkyard, like like
Mhm.
people have been
Mhm.
scavenging the hubcaps off of it, right? And the spark plugs are being stolen, right?
Right.
But I've been the Pinto. I'm not anymore. I'm the Jeep, right? I just want any woman hearing this to know that you're not stuck. You're not stuck. You can get where you want to go.
Absolutely. And the men too. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe not about perimenopause, but
Yes,
their testosterone tanks too. And
absolutely.
there is there are ways to put on your oxygen mask first from a health perspective
Absolutely.
that is a little bit outside the box, but requires you to raise your hand and ask for support
Yeah.
and find someone like Becca or work with Becca directly. So
Yeah. I do work with my dudes too, and they're a lot of
I do
fun.
too. I have some super fans that are great at scaling their businesses
Yeah.
because they're leaning into the work of scaling their lives first and then
Yeah.
scaling their business and seeking support that is really supportive and really
Yeah.
learning how to delegate and saying that they don't know how to do it all,
Yep.
right? Those are some pretty amazing clients that I have. So,
Love it.
okay, well, thank you for today. It was so great to connect. And
Absolutely. Always.
we will put all of your stuff in the show notes
Okay.
where people
Perfect.
can reach out and contact you. Do you want to say like your favorite social media platform that people can?
Right now, I'm on Facebook more than anything. So my brand is Holistic Obsession. So you can find me at there. Just look up, put in the little search bar Holistic Obsession. You'll come with me, or it'll come up. I have a Facebook group that's linked to that. It's a burnout and hormone support focus. It's a free Facebook group. I'm starting to pop over onto Instagram a little bit more, but mostly on Facebook. I'm working on Instagram. But
Love
you
it.
can you can totally connect with me on my website, holisticobsession.com. There's buttons all over the place that says book a free connection call. It's just a 30-minute
Perfect.
free call. Let's have a conversation. That's where it all
I love,
starts with a
I love
conversation.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
just a little conversation. I
Yeah.
call it my coffee and connection calls,
Yep.
right? Like, let's just have a little conversation and see if there's a way for me to help or
Yep.
connect you with somebody who
Yeah.
can help.
Point you in the right direction, right? And
Sometimes it's
yeah,
just about the pointer card. I'm happy to meet as many
absolutely.
people, and sometimes I can't help, but
Yeah.
it's okay.
Absolutely. I think that, and oftentimes the connection call, so many of the women on there end up crying. I'll cry right with you because I can be a crybaby too, but like it's the first time they really truly feel safety and heard and value in a wellness setting. And it's unfortunate. But if nothing else, you will leave that connection call feeling safe, seen, heard, and valued when it comes to your health and wellness. That to me is the bare minimum you get. And you never know. I mean, my brand's called Holistic Obsession for a reason because I'm a little bit obsessed. So
I love it. Thank you so much for today.
absolutely.
And
Thanks for having me on.
I hope that all of you listeners who need some help will reach out to Becca. What a powerful conversation that was. One of the things I appreciate so very much about Becca's approach and about functional medicine in general is the reminder that our bodies are truly always communicating with us. Don't forget, our bodies keep score. If you haven't checked out that book, I definitely recommend it. The Body Keeps Score. Because here's the deal, you guys, symptoms are rarely random. They're signals. Signals that something deeper in our system just might be out of balance and probably is. What I loved about this conversation with Becca is how clearly it shows that everything in our body is so interconnected. Hormones, digestion, sleep, nervous system regulation, mood, energy, how our brains work, brain fog. And when one part of the system is struggling, it turns out that the ripple effects usually show up everywhere, and it can be hard to figure out. And for so many women in midlife, especially during perimenopause, that can seem confusing, overwhelming, and honestly, sometimes a little bit scary. I definitely know, even for me in the last few weeks, the symptoms I've been having have scared me. I've been afraid of food. I've been afraid of drinking electrolytes, everything, taking my supplements, because things have just been a little out of whack. But with the help of people like Becca and other functional medicine individuals in my life, they just remind me, they remind us to keep looking deeper. These conversations like today also remind us to keep looking deeper and to ask help from people who are willing to ask a different set of questions and help us reconnect to our own bodies so that we can understand what our bodies are trying to tell us. So, if you have listened to this podcast for a while, you know that this whole episode is exactly what the Oxygen First philosophy is all about. It's about paying attention, it's about honoring the signals, it's about recognizing your energy, your physical, emotional, and mental well being. It's about recognizing that that is your most valuable asset. And sometimes putting on our oxygen mask first means asking for support. Sometimes it means slowing down long enough just to listen. And sometimes it means trusting your body is wiser than we've been taught to believe. So I just want to leave you with a journal prompt, a little bit of a closing reflection. Before you move on with your day, I want to leave you with this small thought. You might take a breath, you might pause for a moment and ask yourself, what might my body be trying to tell me right now that I haven't fully been listening to? Not from a place of fear, but think about this from a place of curiosity. Because the more we listen to our bodies with compassion instead of frustration, the more clearly they begin to guide us. And as always, if this conversation reminded you that you don't have to do everything alone, you can still download my free Support and Breathe Return on Investment Calculator at rockconsulting.com. It's a really quick way to see how much time, energy, and capacity you can reclaim by bringing the right support into your life. Because don't forget, energy is your greatest asset. Protect it, invest in it, and always remember to put on your oxygen mask first. I'll see you next week. This conversation reminded you that you don't have to do it all alone. That's your cue. Go download the free Support and Breathe Return on Investment Calculator at rockconsulting.com. It's a quick, slightly eye-opening way to see how much time, money, and energy you could reclaim with the right support. And remember, support does not always mean hiring. Sometimes it's a simple ask. Sometimes it's a boundary. And sometimes it's finally letting someone be your peanut butter. If something in this episode resonated, please come tell me. I'm on Instagram at @._rock_, and I genuinely love hearing what lands for you so I can create more of them. And remember, your energy is your greatest asset. Protect it, invest in it, and always put on your oxygen mask first. I'll see you next week.